Seriously, how many different workouts could I do with this?
You look just like Jack LaLanne.
yeah, I do. Hey, welcome to Truck U. I'm Matt Steele.
Hi, I'm Bruno Massel.
Now, this truck is a 1988 GMC. It's been around the block. It's got some miles on it. This thing's been beat up a little bit. It belongs to a buddy of ours, and he wants to give it to his son. We think that's great. It's a very admirable thing. He's going to pass it down to the next generation. But he wants to pick it up a little bit before he gives it to the kid, you know? So we've got some new stuff going on. We've got new intake manifolds, new cam, we got a chip, we got some valve covers. Going to just spice it up a little bit. So we'll get all that, but the first thing we had to do was get a bunch of that stuff out of the way.
And you talk about that stuff, there's a lot of stuff. There was a fan, a shroud, you had the water pump, the balancer, all that stuff, and a lot of plumbing had to get removed. But we've actually got a lot of room here to able to work. Now, a lot of these trucks, you got to take the radiator out and this whole front clip to be able to do what we're going to do by taking that cam out. But since we've got a lot of room, we can actually pull the cam out, leave all this stuff intact, and leave the engine in the vehicle. I mean, just because it's not a new vehicle doesn't mean it can't perform like one, or actually a little bit better. And I think we can step it up quite a bit by putting this new cam in and all the stuff we're looking to do. I mean, this guy had all these parts, so why not do it now? It's as good a time as any.
Yeah.
Now, what we need to do is take off next is this throttle body with the injectors, and then we can get to our intake manifold. Now, the same one that'll go back on a new manifold and be able to go back in the truck. Okay, we got that throttle body out of the way. Now we're taking off our intake manifold, and what we're doing is putting together a whole performance package, which is going to include a new cam, a new intake manifold, and a new chip. Now, what you've got to do is when you do something like this, you need to do it in kind of a package form. If you put a new camshaft in and the intake manifold's not matched up to it or vice versa, you're really not going to see any gains. Actually, it could hurt the performance of the engine. So the whole idea is to get it to all work together, and this way what we're going to see, what our package here is a big increase in throttle response and power down low, which is going to increase torque and 0 to 60 time.
Now, we talk about the intake manifold. There's the stock one. Am I in your way if I do this?
No, you're good.
All right. Now, here's the new one that's going in there. And if you take a look, a lot of times, especially with exhausts, we talk about restriction and airflow. Anything with airflow going this, that, the other, you want as little restriction as possible, and you want that air to get around. Now, look at that. Hold that out here for just a second. Let me take a look. You've got a lot of right angles, so, I mean, that air's going down and right over and over. You know what I mean? This way, it's nice and smooth, and it's kind of ramping around. It's a little more curved. It's going to flow through there a lot better, and that's really the name of the game. Well,
it's
one of the names of the game.
The path of least resistance for your airflow.
That's what it's all about here with the new manifold.
Now, this is what they call an EGR, and the whole idea behind this is on the older vehicles, you'll see it. And what it does is its purpose is to go ahead and heat up the intake manifold to eliminate rough idles at cold starts, or especially if you live up north. So it's going to take exhaust gases and filtering it through to help heat up the intake manifold, and it makes this truck run a lot better, especially at startup.
And that's an easy difference because that mounted on that side there, that goes here. No problem.
No problem.
Cool. Now we got the intake manifold out of the way, and we got the valve covers off, so that's good. Down here we've got this little girdle that holds these guide plates in place, and we'll actually get to those more here in just a second. What we did over here on the rockers, we just kind of loosened them up just enough to turn them off of the rods. We don't want to take them all the way off. It's just not necessary at this point. So basically, what we want to do now, though, is pull all these rods out, and we want to make sure that we take this rod out and put it right back there in the same spot, because these things are going to wear a little bit, and you want to keep that wear consistent. So you don't want to take this rod out and put it back over here. Yep. Now, how do you keep them all straight, right? How do you not screw that up? Well, you can buy little tools that will do that, where you can put them in and it's all numbered, or you could just make something very high-tech like we did out of cardboard. There's the front of the engine. Boom, all right? And all you got to do is as you pull them out, you just cram them into the appropriate hole. Once you're done, this thing's going to look like Pinhead from Hellraiser. You sit it off to the side, and you don't have to worry about losing anything.
Yeah, you know, once we get all the push rods out of the way, then you've got to take, Matt referenced the little guide plates. What they do is keep these lifters in place, and I'll show you how this works. These are roller lifters, believe it or not, so they roll across the bottom of the cam, and it's a nice upgrade from your hydraulic lifters where they're just flat. These roller lifters actually reduce some friction, increase some power. Now, what these guide plates do is there's a slot on either side of the lifter. It keeps it from turning inside your engine, make sure that the roller's running in the right direction. So make sure you keep those together as well. When you put them back together, make sure you use these guide plates.
Once I get this little collar off right here, we will have everything out of the way so that we can slide our cam on out, and then we'll be just about set to start putting the other stuff back in. But, you know, one of the things you can do is actually put a couple bolts in that. That's one way to do it, but we've got a little tool that's going to help things be a little bit easier. Yeah,
well, you know, when people put a couple little bolts in and start to pull out, you really don't have control of the cam, and the problem is that you're actually going to go ahead and beat up the cam bearings when you try and pull it out. So at least put one bolt in, snug it up, and with this handle we'll have some control. Now the problem we're going to run into here is that although we've got some room to work with, we're going to run out of room a little bit when we get to the point where we get it on one of the other lobes. We'll find a spot here so we can stop, and we'll take the handle off, but at least at that point we'll have a little more control, and we'll try and save some of these bearings the best we can. Just about there. I'm gonna take this off
You got
here.
that?
Yeah.
Here.
Now, if you look at it, you can definitely tell this cam's got some wear on it, and you can see exactly right here where those rollers are running across it. So, probably isn't a bad idea to change it out, but although I have seen worse, now you keep in mind this thing does have some miles on it, so you're gonna see that's kind of a normal deal.
Yeah, that's no big surprise. We'll get it out and take a look at it.
Here we go.
Nice. You got it there, man?
Voila.
All right, there you go. Just like you were talking about. All right, now that the cam is out of the way, everything's out, we're just about ready to start putting all the new stuff back in, and we'll get started with that when we come back from break. See, this is some good thinking right here, man. I like this, there's no doubt. Hey, welcome back to Truck U. Now, our performance package is all in and ready to go. That's good. But like Bruno said a couple of minutes ago, we've got a lot of things to put back. I mean, we're talking about the radiator, the fan, water pump, belts, hoses, a bunch of stuff, but none of that's really exciting. It's all a bunch of bolt-on stuff. That's going to take a while. We'll get to that here a little bit later on, all right? No big deal. But while we have some time, it's not really time to put this back on yet, but we wanted to show you guys before we take off some of the aftermarket engineering that went into this truck. This is awesome.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a bad sci-fi movie, you know? But
yeah, danger.
Yeah, but it's actually pretty functional. This guy was pretty creative because they don't make an aftermarket cold air intake for this truck, so he created his own. What he did is he drilled 2 holes going through, this support for our radiator, and what he's got is a whole lot of air coming through a really big tube, about 4 inches across, coming right through our grill. So it'll be forced into the grill, stuffed right down into the motor. Now he had to go to the junkyard and get another one of these, some pop rivets, a little duct tape, and some clamps, but it's actually a pretty functional piece. You're getting a lot of air coming through with just some simple tubes here, which you run off the back of your dryer system. About $10 worth of parts, probably.
I tell you what, and it's almost mandrel bent. I mean, there are some grooves in there, but you know what I'm getting. There's 2 types of people in this world. One type of person will look at that and go, that's just crazy. And the other type will look at that and go, now that guy was thinking.
Yeah,
and I kind of offended
I mean, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but we're going to dress this thing up. Once we get all the hard work done, a couple little things we're going to do on the end of this thing is obviously a new air filter. We'll put some new belts and stuff on, and we've also got one of these new ProFlow, nice and polished chrome covers for it. All that stuff we got from LMC Trucks, and it'll help dress it up a little bit. But we had to go ahead and show you guys this part because, it's pretty cool. You like to see people thinking outside the box for a change.
I really do. And, hey, man, we're talking about performance gains that everybody wants no matter how old your vehicle is.
Right.
Now, this guy didn't have one that was available for this. Gas prices keep going. I don't know. They're up, they're down. You can't keep track of them. Anything like this that's going to help, I think a lot of people are going to see this and start making some of these up themselves. No doubt, right? Yeah, there's going to be a big run on dryer tube. It's coming. So go get it while you can.
Get that 96 Ranger in here.
Yeah, we're bringing the Ranger back. All right, we're going to run and get this out of the way and get all this stuff back in there. We'll see you next time right here on Truck U.
Hey, why don't you give me that water pump, would you?
I like the Danger Will Robin.
Yeah.